timeline. I started coding here in this city before the internet, mid 80s. I never made it onto the BBSs like the bulletin boards, but I knew about it. I've always been into adopting technology early, tweaking, abusing new technology. So some years ago, you notice like the walls are closing in, you need ID for everything, and you need settings here, and you need things to. I can do all of those things. Hell, I was setting up and running a couple of, or more than a couple of open source tiny companies teams. So I know this stack, the whole thing that this platform is running on from the inside. I got started with the Linux in 98 and did my first website paid website job in 2000, I think it was, 99. It was optimized for mobiles. Oh, optimized to load rapidly and to not be a nuisance, because this was for a customer where you just wanted to have the phone number basically and the address and a list of the people working at the institution. That's all they needed at that time. So things have gotten so complicated that can you really expect anyone to follow everything that's going on? To understand everything that's running inside of this thing? Now that AI is really, really getting embedded in everything, of course you can't. So how do you deal with all of this complexity? That's been the one thing for me the past few years, especially after 2020, proved that you really cannot just go along, because then you'll be captured. So some years ago, when I was setting up one of these companies, I noticed that more and more your time gets bogged down with customer chats and all of this bullshit. I hate it. I can be good at it, but I started as a principal in that company that I started, in actually both of them, because I was the architect. I was the one who was the techie guy, or I was the one staking out the course in many ways. So I started personally to ditch any service that required a chat thing, like a chatbot, or required lots of documentation, required whatever. Anything that I could get bogged down in, I just started cutting it. So some of these things we were running in the company. So we kind of had to figure it out, like things like filing taxes and things. But any time that I discovered, okay, this service, we used some SaaS services for servers and things, and because it just works, and we paid a little bit extra for that. And then those got bogged down as well. I've been so hardcore on Xing things that I don't want to influence me, that I'm not even really using mail any longer. Because all services online want to snag that mail address from you. Like the amount of data that is collected and cataloged, and now AI is cataloging that data as we speak, is absolutely enormous. So these years, being extremely stubborn, I spent 2 or 3 years in like the pure privacy space. I had a couple of years where my government didn't even know where I was. It feels great. It felt great. But it's not viable long term. I do really respect those who stay completely in the privacy space, 100%. The service that I installed, I was planning to go for a walk, but there's too much rain. So it took me a couple of less than 2 minutes to install An anonymous eSIM paying with Bitcoin Lightning, which has got silent link. And I knew it was going to work. And I've posted on Twitter that yeah, I'm really grateful for these few services that just work. But to stay in this kind of mode where I'm totally off the map is, of course, not really. The problem with the privacy space is that, for good reason, you end up being very paranoid. The really hard problem is that no one, the world as such, doesn't really appreciate the private space. The price for services should be much higher because there's always a tiny risk. Even if you're following all the rules and the rules, like, you're not going to be, if you're a vendor, if you set up a service in the privacy space, you're not going to be the favorite of the big tech and like all of these government agencies. Obviously not. So the price point is wrong. The risk analysis is totally off the charts in terms of starting something. I'll probably be trying to start some microservices anyway. So now I am doing the opposite. I've got no idea. This is tracking and linking to a very old Gmail account. I got Gmail in 2009 or something. So am I giving up? No, it's just like I'm always giving them garbled, meaningless data. It's like, but this face and this voice, I saved it. I was hardcore about not letting any big tech companies really map my face and voice for years. We had one video when my one company was like launching some kind of collaboration with some startup thing, and yeah, okay, I'll do it. A couple of weird motorbike videos from Asia. There are so many bifurcations in the roads coming now. It's like one of the choices what I had to make is that, well, either I stay private, either I stay like totally in that camp, and I'm not going to have any reach, and I'll get more and more isolated, at least when I'm online, or I go the other way. So there's so many complex things in this. Like I've got like a visa that is not technically a residency, but is regarded as you're regarded as a resident if you're on that visa type in a certain country. It's like, I had to let that expire. It's like the complexity of all of this, because unless you want to be a pure slave, you're not going to be popular with all of the people who follow along. You're not going to fit in. It's like, I'm used to not fitting in. I grew up here not fitting in. But to manage that, when you kind of need to be online to market anything, it can't be done. So I've changed my status. I've changed my whole strategy towards this. Where is this leading to? I see there's actually a few people viewing this, and I've been doing these live streams almost into the void on Facebook, of all places. Why? Because I have a tiny amount of, actually a good amount of really good people on Facebook that are my kind of pilot, what you call it, maybe coming ambassadors. This is out of tech speak, out of venture capitalism thing. You need those few early adopters, or the people who vouch for you. Like I will vouch for Silent.link and Phoenix Wallet and these stellar services that made it possible for me to just install and resend inside of a couple of minutes. No paperwork, no email, no nothing. It's not only the privacy, it works. I can get things done when I keep to services that don't want to grab and own all of my data. There's one thing that I really need that is multi-streaming, like like cross-posting. That is, of course, something that has been closed off. It's just too expensive to set up a cross-poster. One license to one social network of the main ones is like $7,000. You can install some apps, like I installed like Streamlabs here now. It's like it doesn't work. I'm signing in with Twitter and it doesn't work. Hell, I used the OAuth libraries of Twitter and Facebook around 2009 when the APIs were open. I've been in this space. So my main goal, what I'm building towards, which I'm using AI programming for, and all of the privacy knowledge and all of the, I mean, how long have I been setting up servers? 25 years, whenever necessary. I'm putting a lot of effort into this. I'm putting a lot of hours now into using AI in getting up my own platform that can't be taken away from me. That is the goal, is to have a very robust, complete cross-posting platform. So when I do this live stream, I have lined up, as long as I get to this starting point technically, people who would be, I've been living on between $7 and $10 in unruly countries, like daily. I actually had a great time with great people. So the goal is to set up you call it a mechanical Turk? That'll be the mechanical Turk when necessary, where all of these apps are signed in on a virtual desktop, share accounts, you can do all of these things, and you have a human that is ultimately spreading and cross-posting content, because I want to have my own propaganda machine. Why would I want to just go down, just give up and quietly just slink away from the internet when it's all taken away and everything is bastardized? Why not do a wild live streams like these and have it spread all over the internet and see what happens? There must be some power in that. So then there must be some service to be set up, and there must be an economy in it. So, yeah, well, hi there. I don't know if these people are bots or if it's AI or if it's inmates of the digital Gulag. There should be a healthy economy in this. There should be a unruly, uh, resilient way of doing social media. That is what I'm working towards. And there are also, obviously, the uncensorable platforms like Nosta. That space really needs a boost. I got started on Nosta when you had the first. I even used a text-based Nosta client. I can't remember which year, but a year or two after it was founded. It's a great platform. It felt great posting things that I know can't be taken down. That was a major boost. And getting a tip in Bitcoin Lightning that there's like directly. It's like, wow, this experience. But those platforms need things that work. Too much infighting, too much like thousands of developers clamoring for a tiny income. It's like thinking like developers. And if I could choose freely, I would be some kind of anarchist underground business developer. That would match my experience, that would match my ambitions, that would give traction to my own whatever content I'm gonna create. It's gonna. So okay, this channel was bought monetized in 2021 or so. It's annoying. Every time I sign into it, I have to get rid of Hebrew. Like, yeah, that's a funny coincidence, is it not? You can game things. Everything can be gamed. So those who make it, unless you have a really truly viral message and reach, but doesn't the people who are not polished, who are more unruly, the people who doesn't fit into a format, don't they also need some reach? Like Rumble started off really good. Now it's like just one type of channels and topics mostly, and where you get Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's in self custody, is it? But I still want a cross post there. I mean, how would it feel to have a platform where you have totally uncensorable uh, accounts as the foundation of what you do on Nostr and on whatever um, uncensorable video platform that is now available? I'm not talking about doing really bad people doing really bad things to other people. I mean, even the hardcore free speech platforms censor what should be censored, which is very like just the only thing that should be censored is really bad stuff. So that everyone agrees across nations on the planet and laws and whatever. It's not to censor what people say out into the universe. It's not up to the EU. That's my main problem is the EU basically. Other people will have other problems. But back to this platform thing. How would it feel to? I'm just discovering this myself. How would it feel to have, based on my uncensorable Nostr accounts, where I have built it's quality of followers, not a number necessarily. I've got hundreds of followers that are quality followers on the cutting edge of tech and these things. But to have a platform where I know that I can do this type of live stream and I pay a moderate fee or whatever the economy, like the market decides, and it is cross-posted across like a dozen platforms. How would it feel to be like, oh, finally, like I want to say this one thing that will get me banned? You'd be happy to see which ones go down. You could include in this service appeals. So what I'm looking at is an automated workflow, a half automated workflow using AI programming for all of the functions where a real human is doing the work that even AI won't be able to. I've tested this. You won't even be able to cross post to all of the platforms in a meaningful way from one point of access, even if you use all the AI coding you want, because on the other side there is AI coders setting up roadblocks. The cross-streaming platforms, yeah, there are some that you can do a dozen or more platforms, but you have to pay and you have to upload your car details and blah blah blah. And they are not streaming to they're not uploading to obscure servers running on Nostr that is like on the cutting edge of social media technology. So you need that. You need someone who is a mechanical Turk, and you need a workflow, and you need dashboards, and you need online virtual desktops and things like that. That is the only architecture, that's the only project that can make small people, small actors, individuals, small businesses stay relevant on social media, regardless of what is coming. That's why I'm building what I'm building. And that's all. Got no idea if this is coming out as a horizontal or a vertical video. I see some. Well, hi there, whoever you are. Okay, let's see how this propagates on this channel. It's good to have a goal. It's good to have a goal that cuts through complexity. It is complex to build these things, but it's worth it. Okay, let's see.